Hello, here are 11 ideas for your Minecraft city. Tennis courts are a great addition to nearly any space. They're easy to make, they can fit in small spaces, and it's a great way to take up some space if you don't really know what to do with an area.
These tennis courts are usually found in parks with a lot of green space, and there's usually some trees surrounding it.
I like to use a blue and green color combination for the courts in my city to give it a cozy, natural feel.
Don't forget to add paths.
Make sure to have realistic lines, a fence that surrounds the courts, benches to rest, and lights so that people can use the courts at night. Don't forget to add 1 or 2 exits, you don't want people stuck in there. If you have a subway or rail line, use terrain variations to your advantage and don't just make it all flat or underground. If you have a small section of land above an existing rail line, dig it out and add some complexity to your city. Choose a number of blocks to have as a clear space between the rails and the ceiling, just to make sure your trains don't run into anything. On the sides of the open area, I have iron trapdoors and double stone slabs acting as a retaining wall.
Another idea for a bridge if you don't want to use a highway over top is something like this. This wall here has been cut into the stone, and then they have those pipes going along there.
On the bottom, I have dirt and coarse dirt covered with grass, tall grass, and ferns for an unkept look. You don't want anything too perfect, no one is going to be able to go down there to landscape. I also have some trees made by my good friend, just to add some thin pines to enhance the space. Hockey is the best sport, so every city needs to have some variation of a hockey rink. Some are indoors, but most are outdoors. These rinks can vary widely in size, but this small one in the park is open to the environment and allows people to watch from the sides.
Over around the side here, it has a little spot that kind of sticks out and goes up and over. And then same thing with this here, just to give it a little more complexity.
There's 2 penalty boxes, 2 team benches, and 4 large overhead lights. It's placed close to a major path throughout the park, so it's easy to find.
Notice how this entrance has a bunch of different sidewalks connecting it to the main sidewalk on the street. And then it has this nice open area with benches and then spots to put your bike. There's also a train station right over here.
It's summer in my city, so at the moment it's just concrete. I still added the line so that the workers know where to add them on the ice once the winter comes around. Within the same park, soccer nets in an open field are an easy addition.
A small field with some soccer posts can be nice.
In Cube Pack, I used jungle fences for the posts and jungle fence gates for the crossbar. To make their textures white, I changed the biome to wooded hills. Feel free to add texture to the ground to give it a rough feel, but just be careful not to overdo it. Wooden bleachers are a must-have, and if you're in a busy area, add a tall fence behind each net so you don't kick a soccer ball into a windshield. An old train bridge can be a great addition to any city. This bridge is a truss bridge, specifically a Pratt truss.
If you don't actually have a train line that goes through your city, or at least one in that area, what you can do is you can either make it abandoned, just like this one here, or you can change it so that it becomes a pedestrian walkway across the river.
This type of truss bridge should include the deck for people or trains to go on, the top chord, top lateral bracing, the bottom chord, bottom lateral bracing, verticals, diagonals, and of course, the supports. If you have people walking on this bridge, include a railing along the side. If you want to watch me design and build this bridge using real structural engineering that I learned throughout university, let me know in the comments. As much as I don't like parking lots, they are needed to an extent in the vast majority of cities. I prefer smaller parking lots, they are faster to make, easier to design, and they don't cause nearly as much strain from an environmental perspective. This parking lot is located behind this donut-shaped library in my city, and I use the parking space size of 3 by 6. For the lines, I'm using white concrete in the river biome to make it extra thin. Along the edges, I have spots for bikes to encourage green transportation. By tucking the parking spaces between buildings and also adding trees, there is less direct sunlight on the pavement, which makes the area much cooler. Although clearly it isn't as good as a green space, this shade will slightly reduce the heat island effect of this area. Typically, you won't want to have too many advertisements, otherwise it can seem off-putting. But to give your city some realism, it's good to use it in moderation. I'd recommend working with colors that fit your city, but don't blend in too much. The point of an advertisement is to grab your attention, but if it looks ugly, people will be less likely to buy your products. Don't forget, you still need lights above or below so people can see it at night. Another great idea for a street corner or an empty space is a public garden. I would recommend adding a fence or greenery surrounding it to give it a more earthy feel. Divide little plots of land into sections. I personally use 2 by 3. I also have a small tool chest for public use so that you don't have to bring your own tools. You can make this garden in the ground, or you can add trapdoors along the side for something above ground. Small urban spaces are great places to put a car mechanic. These buildings aren't typically super detailed, so you can throw together an exterior in about 15 minutes. This mechanic has 2 parking spots out front, 2 garage doors, and doesn't have any other windows on the rest of the building just yet. On the front of the building at the top, there's a sign with lights, a handful of greenery around the sides and front, plus a couple pine trees for decoration. The top has solar panels, HVAC equipment, and some skylights to let in some natural light. A fire station is a must-have in any city. I would recommend using the color red somewhere, and if you'd like, feel free to leave a door open and have a couple fire trucks. Looking up from the inside, I like to add the tracks for the garage doors, plus some skylights on the double floor opening. On the roof, feel free to add HVAC equipment and a green roof if it's a newer building. If you didn't really like the idea of a small soccer field and you have a little bit more room, build a large soccer field with full-size nets. This time you can add the white lines and some grass stripes using different shades of green. On the corners, add posts or flags. I ran out of time to make this build, but I am planning to add bleachers, a scoreboard, public washrooms, fences, and some surrounding trees. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click like so the YouTube algorithm pushes this video to more people who may also enjoy this content. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel and get early access to videos, check out my Patreon in the description.